My fiancé, 32 male, and I, 30 female, are getting married in a few months. We've been dating for 2 years. When we first started dating, his sister, 25, and I got along great. But when I asked her to be a bridesmaid, she turned me down. I assumed it was because she wouldn't be the centre of attention. Everything spiralled from there, and now we're pretty much no contact with her. She's a brat, truth be told, and created a ton of unnecessary drama. Some highlights were showing up with no gift to our engagement party and not saying a word to us. She ran into my brother in public and was extremely rude to him. She and her boyfriend denied this happened and called my brother a liar. Now she's no longer invited to the wedding. This summer we made an effort to see other members of his family, so we've been spending our weekends meeting up for dinner with different members of his family. Naturally, the issues with his sister come up. I chose not to hold back and told them exactly what she did. They should know how toxic she is and decide if they want her in their lives. Yesterday I saw on Instagram one of my fiancé's cousins posted a bunch of pictures from a girl's wine day. All his aunts and female cousins were there, and of course his sister was there. I was so hurt that they wouldn't even invite me. It felt like the pictures were explicitly posted to make me feel bad and show that they took her side. I'm supposed to be marrying into this family in a few months, and they completely left me out. I reached out to one of his aunts I thought I was close to and asked if my fiancé's sister planned this, and she said no, it was another aunt. When I asked why I wasn't invited, she said it was because of the drama between me and my fiancé's sister. They didn't want the day to be uncomfortable, so they chose to keep it to just family, which hurt to hear that they don't consider me family. I asked her if that meant they all took her side. She claimed no one was taking sides, and if I chose to take it that way, it was up to me. I ended the phone call very upset. My bridal shower is in a few weeks, and I don't want any of them there. It's for friends and family, and obviously they don't consider me family, so they don't need to be there. I want no drama at my shower, and only people who are happy for me and love me there. I'm debating if I want them at the wedding, but I'll deal with that later. I have a mass email written up ready to send disinviting them from my shower. My fiancé is fine with it. He can't stand his sister and is angry with his family. My maid of honour is trying to talk me out of sending it, saying it will ruin my relationship with his family and my wedding and upset my mother-in-law, but I think it's already ruined. If drama is constantly following you around, and I bet it is, you are the source of it. You can choose not to have a relationship with your future sister-in-law. You cannot, however, demand that everyone do the same. OP, you are the idiot. OP literally went on a campaign this summer attempting to turn the family against the sister-in-law. She went around to her fiancé's relatives, talking crap about a person they've known since she was born. This doesn't naturally come up at every single dinner. She's just upset her little plan didn't work out, and she's the black sheep of the family rather than the sister-in-law. It's time to scale back the wedding venue. Lady, you claim to not want drama, but it sounds like you're at the centre of all of it. You assumed she turned you down when you asked her to be a bridesmaid because she won't be the centre of attention. You took your brother's word over hers about an encounter. With what proof? You badmouthed her to her family. You assumed that pictures posted on social media were only there to make you feel bad. Is everything about you? And now you want to go nuclear and disinvite a bunch of your fiancé's family members from your shower and possibly the wedding. There is one common denominator in all these issues, and it's not the sister. You forgot to mention that the sister didn't bring a gift to the engagement party. OP expects gifts for an engagement party, a bridal shower, and the wedding probably. How greedy can she be? Honestly, I hope OP's fiancé reacts the same way his family did, if OP doesn't have a come-to-Jesus moment about her own BS. Such a narcissist. You can disinvite them if you choose, it's your wedding, but pretending you're the victim here isn't right. My young teen son Evan and young teen nephew Jack are best friends. Jack has an attitude problem, and up until recently I've avoided it. Yesterday Jack was over at my house and I found out that Evan left his lights, fan, etc. all on in his room before going to school. My electric bill is outrageous, and I've discussed this with him. I told Evan that I'll take his phone away the next time he doesn't turn things off in his room, so I took away his phone when he came home with Jack. Evan was upset, and Jack told me I just couldn't take his phone away like that. I told him to mind his business and his mouth before I took his phone away too. He said I wasn't allowed to take his phone away, so I did. I said, go complain to Daddy, my brother. Both boys were livid with me, and Jack asked to go home, so I dropped him off. Of course, my brother called me and demanded that I return the phone. I asked him if his child learned his lesson, and he said I was over the line. I said once Jack apologizes and agrees to mind his business, I'll return it. This morning at school, he and my brother came up to me and apologized, and I gave it back. After the boys left to go to school, my brother said, "Don't you ever take my kid's phone away." I told him he wasn't lost in the woods, and this wouldn't have happened if you hadn't spoiled him and raised a brat. Shame on you and your ex. He and his ex believe taking a phone away from your kid is borderline abuse. Edit, we live down the street from their middle school and my brother lives 5 miles away. That's why I couldn't kick my nephew out. I promise you my nephew won't run his mouth at me again, and I didn't give the phone back on purpose. I wanted to make my brother angry so he'd have to deal with a crying young teen brat all night. You are the idiot. Mind your business and raise your own kid. This kid sounds like a normal young teen and you had no business taking his phone in the first place. Your brothers are nicer than I am though. If someone stole my kid's things, we'd be showing up with the police to collect them. Calling the cops on your sibling over a phone is insane. Way to escalate times 100. It's called talking, LMFAO. Taking away electronics is bad punishment styles. It's completely unrelated to the failure to remember to turn off lights. It likely doesn't help him to remember in the future. It's just an arbitrary way for you to express anger at him and to hurt him. Get better punishments. I agree with this. My son constantly forgets to bring his dirty plates and glasses up from the basement where he plays Xbox. The only thing that's worked is making him walk back down the stairs to get his dishes and bring them up. Enough times of having to go back downstairs after coming up is getting him to finally remember. No amount of taking away his phone will make him remember this. Also, what kind of bulbs do you use? They still affect your electric bill. The cost of leaving it on for 24 hours is roughly 16 cents. Yeah, you overreacted. My wife and I went shopping. I went to a different aisle to get some jerky. I heard my wife scream, "Help!" So I ran over and she was freaking out because an elderly woman hugged our son. You could tell the woman was harmless. The woman's son came along and profusely stated that she had dementia, meant no harm, and tended to view every child as her child. I said it was okay and apologized for my wife's overreaction. During this time, I wasn't paying attention, and my wife called 911 and called over security. It became a massive mess for all parties because my wife was not letting the issue go. You could also tell the son was extremely embarrassed, as was I. I was trying to relax my wife, but she was going on a complete meltdown rage, saying that his mother should be in a home if she can't keep her hands to herself. What if she got our kid sick, tried to kidnap him, got combative and hurt him? All of which I agree are possible outcomes, but I told her none of that happened, so let's just leave it. Security states since the wife called the police, we had to wait for them to show up, so they can file a report as per their store policy. About 25 minutes later, police showed up and asked what happened, and my wife explained everything. You could tell the police were like, "What the heck is wrong with this woman?" I felt nothing but disappointment. Police took the statement and started laughing as they left. Gave the son of the elderly woman a fist bump and said sorry. My wife was upset I didn't have her side. She was upset that I took the son's side instead of her. I explained his mom was clearly sick. It was a harmless gesture and explained she acted unreasonably. I did acknowledge her concerns, but nothing bad happened. We could have just let it slide and gone on with our day. She told me I failed as a husband. So we ran the story by our family and friends. It's a 50-50 split. So, am I the idiot? Sorry, forgot to add our kid is 19 months old. Not the idiot, good lord. Your wife's initial concern was justified, but she should have dropped it after the situation was explained and an apology was offered. There's no reason to call 911 or even store security. You didn't fail as a husband, you were acting rationally. Yeah, like what was she expecting the police to do? Arrest an elderly woman with dementia for hugging a child? No cop is doing that. She could try pressing charges, but as soon as the cop sends the case to the DA's office, the DA is going to laugh their butt off and say, pass. It sounds like his wife was embarrassed about her overreaction and decided to hide it behind false outrage and the need to blame someone for how she feels rather than be an adult and accept she made a mistake. I disagree. If a stranger came up and grabbed my young toddler, I would have flipped the heck out. Your wife's initial reaction was 100% called for. Would I have called 911? Probably not, but the panic and anxiety I would have felt at the moment certainly could have clouded my judgment and made me want to. I also don't agree with the woman being harmless because she has dementia. Just because she likely meant no harm doesn't mean she could do no harm. Anger and dementia can be scary. She could have been convinced your child was hers and your wife was trying to kidnap him. Your wife was full of adrenaline and likely had these scary worst-case scenarios running through her head. Of course she reacted strongly. I wonder if the mother might have called the police because her husband wasn't giving a crap about her concerns. I think a lot of people have pity and sympathy for those who have dementia, but don't really realize how dangerous they can be. Again, wife was scared, still probably had adrenaline going. They could have thought they were lying about dementia to make it seem harmless because they were caught and possibly wanted a record of it occurring. It's not a what if, but rather trying to understand a scared mother. My parents divorced when I was young. My dad cheated on my ma. Afterward, Dad married his mistress and Mom stayed single, but made her way up and was able to provide me and my siblings a good life. As of late, I've been working as a waitress. I want to buy a car, but doing chores wasn't enough, and my mom wouldn't give me any extra chores, so I took the job. I started saving my checks and tips. Every other weekend, my dad and his family has been coming over. Lately, though, I've started noticing that my money has been going missing. It started with $1 or $5 missing, but it's gotten aggressively more. Like $20 to $30 are missing. My savings have gone from around $500 to roughly $300. I brought this up to my family, but they expressed on multiple occasions they haven't taken it. I tried putting it in different places, but it still goes missing. I caught my dad's kids hanging around my room and sitting outside of it. I asked them to stay away from my room, but they got offended and told their mom that I didn't want to hang out with them. It always ended in an argument. When I got home from work 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were in my room and taking money from my savings. I yelled at them to return the money and get out of my room. My dad and their mom heard me yelling and came up to see what I was yelling about. They were on my side and grounded them. Apparently their kids had been taking my money and they explained that they'd been coming home with money, but they had no idea where they got it from and gave me a 50 as an apology. Now whenever I go out, I start locking my door. I mean, every day, even when they're not there, I lock my door. They started taking offense to this. They keep telling me there's no need for me to lock my door and that they make sure that their kids aren't around my room anymore. But like I lost so much money from this. They didn't work those 8-hour shifts. I did, and they got the money from it. But it was like their kids, they didn't know any better. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your dad and stepmom should have had the kids give back all the money taken or replaced themselves. Not just $50 as an apology, they still owe you about $150. Keeping your door locked is reasonable to me. Can you get a bank account, a credit union account or similar? Keeping cash around is always a bit risky. Can you get them in an orphanage or juvie or similar? Keeping little thieves around is always a bit risky. You sound like the type, but why were you wearing a skirt, you know? OP's hard-earned cash, OP's room. Heck, it would have been up to her if she wanted to make a mattress out of it in her room. She should be comfortable in her zone. Screw those kids. OP, so your dad brings his new wife and kids to your mom's house to visit? Your mom is a saint to allow this. Of course you'll lock your door. I did the same thing after I caught one of my siblings stealing money from my room. To make matters worse, my sister only stole coins I'd saved for years. By this I mean collectible coins collected through average transactions, and spent them all on things my mom also willingly gave her money for. When I put a lock on my door, the bullying persisted for weeks. It was only because they couldn't steal from me anymore. They never intended to stop. My mom even told me last year she was angry because if my sister could take money from me, then she asked my mom for less. Don't let them bully you or make you feel bad. If it makes them feel bad about themselves, they need to do some self-reflection and maybe work on themselves. So I rent a room at a house. With my landlord's permission, my girlfriend moved in with me about a month ago. My roommate, Joe, hardly pays the bills on time and is always late on rent. My landlord understands that it's not my problem and overlooks things. My girlfriend was helping me budget our utilities, and I explained how I often pay the utilities because Joe was late. The utilities are in Joe's name, and she suggested I get them switched in my name and build up the credit. Joe has also been rubbing her the wrong way because he's now slacking on chores because she's there as if she should do the dishes. After about 3 months of this, there was a huge argument over Joe's late fees and how we always have to cover his butt. He gets angry and says, "Sue me." My girlfriend says, "I might because both of my parents are lawyers." She started running down how small claims work and has kept a text and paper trail on Joe. She has a great memory and started rolling figures off the top of her head, and Joe shuts up and starts looking scared as crap. He pulled me aside the next day, saying I was an idiot for not disclosing that her parents are lawyers and he would have acted better. I said nothing had changed. Why does it matter what her parents do? He acted like it was a big deal and he thinks my girlfriend should never have moved in because of that. I said that was not the issue, and the landlord agreed to add her to the lease. Joe has been acting suspiciously since then, saying he might move out because I forgot to tell him that important information. Roommate, sue me. But no, not like that. Not the idiot. Your roommate is now in the finding out stage. Good roommates don't need legal threats to do basic chores. Honestly, I'd sue him just for funsies. Your roommate is looking for an excuse to get out of Dodge after realizing your girlfriend won't let you cover his sorry butt anymore. She's a keeper, by the way. He's just ticked that your girlfriend stood up to him in a major way. He's used to taking advantage of others and even acting entitled. He's a slacker and he's been called out. Now he just wants to pick up his marbles and go home. I'd make damn sure he was paid up before he leaves or you toss him out.